Hi guys, welcome to another accuracy video. Again, we're going to be discussing why is my gun not shooting straight. Part 2 is going to be all about rubber. Rubbers are obviously a very long and stretchy subject. There's many manufacturers around the world, so there are variances. This can play a big part in what you're using. If you're used to a specific brand, rather stick to that. If you're changing to another, you must realize there could be a possible variance in the way that rubber drives the spear. There's two main manufacturing methods. One is the dipped process. That's very similar to how candles are made. It's dipped, dried, re-dipped, dried, and it builds up in layers. This dipped method, in my opinion, gives the rubber the best elasticity. There's the least products mixed into the rubber. If you extrude the rubber, they extrude it like they would comes out of a tube in one piece in the shape you want. They have to have an additive in their rubber to make it keep that shape. The problem with that is that additive has an effect on the performance of that rubber. Rubber needs to recoil as best as possible. The best material is pure latex. Latex is a natural product. Being a natural product, it is prone to degrading over time, but it is by far the best in terms of performance. When it's time to install a new rubber on your gun, be careful not to cut it to the same length as what was on there. Reason being, you may have trimmed that rubber a few times over its previous life, and now you're cutting a fresh rubber down to a very short length, which will make the gun perform differently. We do have charts on our website showing exactly what length is suitable for what spear. Remember, this is just a guide. Different people will have different requirements. That is just a guide, general starting point. They may be slightly long. That allows you to shorten your rubbers a little if need be, but if they're too short, you can't make them longer. You would have to replace the whole band. So these rubber cut length charts are specific to each and every gun type and their barrel length and the appropriate weight of spear. So if you look at those charts, that's the best balance we found. Might not be the best for you, but that's what we find is a good starting point. Moving on to band diameters, many guys try and use the smaller ID thinking they're getting more rubber. Yes, you are, but it's such a small percentage to make that hole smaller that the variance in the rubber manufacturer will take up that amount. In other words, the outer diameter will vary slightly. So from one batch to another, you're going to get a slight variance in that outer diameter. That variance on the outside is a bigger volume than what was used to make that inner hole smaller. So I don't see any advantage. It's always easier to step up in diameter if you want the rubber stronger. My feeling, that small bore hole, all it does is makes it harder to put the wishbone bead into the rubber. Performance, no difference. So we've done many pull tests proving these points, that if you overpower the spear, it will become inaccurate. So be very careful when cutting your rubber lengths. You can always shorten them, but if you make them too short, you can't lengthen them. And always a good idea to do a pull test when you make any major change to your gun. On another note, you need to also consider water temperature. The rubber, being a natural product, will vary in its elasticity depending on the water temperature. How this works is the warmer the latex is, the faster it can retract. So if you dive in the tropics and you go on holiday to an environment where the water is substantially cooler, your gun's going to perform different. The opposite is also true. Those that hunt regularly in cold water, they're used to their gun and their rubber lengths to that environment. They go to the tropics and they start missing and they don't understand why. This is purely because they're getting a lot more performance out of these bands. Just a subtle difference, and it can make a huge variance to how your gun works. So, hope you enjoyed that video. Rubbers are one of the many variables. We're going to be going through many others over the next few weeks. Hope you enjoyed that video. Stand by for the next.